he introduced me already, so I'm not going to introduce myself again. But yeah, I work at Microsoft. I lead the developer experience for JavaScript and Node.js developers. Why do we want to use all those tools that were presented to you earlier before, like monorepos, module federation? They're all used typically in the quest of decoupling the monolith, like something that everybody wants to do, right? Or maybe not. We want to take those pieces apart and have linear architectures, right? Because we are tired of having to maintain interdependencies, we're tired of the knowledge silos, we're tired of the slow time to value and the technical debt, and especially we're tired of not being able to innovate. We want to bring all those amazing fancy things to our implementation, to our applications, and sometimes we cannot because people say no. You go to the architect in your project, say, I want to use that thing I saw at this conference, and please let me do it. And they're like, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Why do we need microservices and micro frontends? And why do we need Jamstack? The architect asks. And what do you answer? How do you respond to that? You respond, it depends, right? And the architect gets like, that's buying my catchphrase. And they say like, yeah, but I don't want you to be doing any hype-driven development, right? Because yeah, then we're in trouble. And say, well, I know these problems. Microarchitectures sometimes introduce versioning issues, or you have to deal with versioning, you have to deal with a knowledge ramp. Yeah, all those tools are cool, but you need to learn to use them, right? State management, which is really complicated. We saw Laura talking about it. Data architecture, oops, no, my data architecture is not working correctly. Wait. Stay there. Governance, this is not complying with my governance. And orchestration, finally. You have multiple parts and pieces. You have to bring them together. You have to make sure that they connect somehow, right? And so when you want to go to the architect and tell her, these are the advantages go to people. We can have specialized teams working on solving concrete problems. We have advantages in technology. We can innovate. We can, I don't know, choose our stack, our favorite tools, our favorite frameworks. And also the processes. They get simplified, right? And so we enable independent teams. We facilitate scalability of larger systems. We simplify maintenance. That's the goal. And we distribute workloads, right? We have everybody occupied, or every part of the system occupied with a different thing. Because I'm sure many of you, even if the model is not exactly like this, are familiar with this situation, right? Raise your hand. Yeah, you have to, you're about to release, you have bumped the version. Hot fix, everything's on fire. Yeah, another bump of version. Everybody who is depending on you or you depending on them, again, has to rebuild, redeploy, blah, blah, blah. So when you go to the architects and they say, OK, let's try this exercise. Let's simplify things. They typically see things from the backend side, from the services side, from those stacks, that end of things. They have this unique perspective. And what ends up happening, which is not always bad, and I want to clarify that it depends, right? is that you end up with a few microservices, and then you have a monolithic front end. And when it's front-end oriented architects that are exercising this or are working on this exercise, typically you want to see things from a UX perspective. Or I am inviting you to invite everyone involved in the design of new systems to see them from the user experience perspective. And that will allow us to determine what are the right architecture decisions, what are the right tech stack definitions, the development cycle, different times perhaps, and the deployment options for each part of the system independently. This is what we have most times, oftentimes, with a monolithic architecture. And even with large Angular applications, we end up having this. We have the common components. We have all these massive bundles, right? Then we try to do things like lazy loading modules, etc. But we are always seeing things from, OK, we have all this code. Let's push it to this page, to this other page. How do we do it? It's all the same pattern, all the same tech stack. When we decide that maybe the user that goes to the blog, or the user that goes to the store, to the shop, or the user that goes to the catalog, need to have different experiences, have different performance thresholds, and patience at the time because they're doing something else, whoops. And they expect different results, then we can choose more appropriately, right? It doesn't have to be and look all the same. Obviously, if you are a very small team, go to the end of the book, right? You don't need to have one person on one thing, another. I'm talking about large distributed systems. This is where this may make sense. And then you suddenly hear or see in a talk, in a conference, that Azure has this service called Azure Static Web Apps, and that you can have an architecture or a workflow like this, that you can integrate very well with GitHub Actions or your DevOps pipelines or other repos, whatever. Because you want to serve static content. Let's imagine you're working on this bank application. I was there. This was verbatim what happened. I was working for this German bank as a technical lead, as a front-end technical lead, and they say, like, we need a landing page for this new product, and it has to be tomorrow. And we're like, what? We are working in the context of a very large CMS, and that means that we needed to do a lot of stuff just to enable a couple of landing pages for this particular product that needed to look in a specific way that the designers had decided it had to. So why do we need to do all that? Create a new component, deploy it, create a new release like out of nowhere, and mess all our cycles because they need this marketing strategy deployed today or yesterday. You can say, like, OK, if it's a couple of static pages, maybe I just go and deploy them to static web apps, even if the whole monolith is deployed in Azure in another service. And the architect is like, yeah, but doing this in the cloud, like you're going to have your own, maintain your own deployment, it's not so easy, but do whatever you want, right? But you do it. I don't want to know anything about it. And then you start investigating, and you start realizing, OK, I need authentication. I need an API. I need, some way to put things together. And you're not even sure what services from the, hundreds that every cloud provider has at your disposal you need to make this happen. Not so easy, right? Unless the teams are working on specific tools that will enable you to do the local development and deploy to cloud on your own. And then you can become more independent and own your own workflows. So this is the static web apps development setup, right? The CLI takes care of the emulation. It enables a local server for development. It also enables an API server. It takes care of the cores and everything that you may be concerned or worried about. And it lets you use Azure Functions, for example, and also easy authentication. How do you use it? You install it. You start it. You can start your server with these commands. You can pass a configuration for this particular application. You can serve your, for example, Angular application and run scripts on commands, on the command run. You can serve both the front end and the API. And you can create configuration files that you can share with your teams. So they are distributed, even if you are distributed, you can use the same configurations, and nobody has to worry about reconfiguring things when you are onboarding somebody or when you change something. So now let's go to the demo, because that's a lot of talking. And what if it doesn't work? I don't know. I was asked to do this talk yesterday, so let me see. I created this very cool application. Don't judge me. I'm trying to stay, within performance budget, because I saw a lot of performance talks. But yeah, I have this function here. I created it also with a function CLI. It's very simple. Function new, pass a name, you give a path, a location. Super fancy function. It returns the name of this conference. But yeah, obviously, for my Angular application, nothing is happening. It's not rendering what I'm requesting from the function, because it's not connected. But I want to test it locally, right? So let's do it. Let's start our local server. So with this command, SWA start, I pass the server that is already up, the Angular server. And it also, again, creates the connection, resolves the course issues. And if I go to this port, now I get this that's coming from the function. Now, let's imagine it's super fancy. I got a lot of data. It's an amazing application. I want to deploy it to the cloud. Yeah, that's the part where you say, oh, how much is this going to cost me? All this is for free. Static web apps is a free service. You don't have to pay anything for the API, either for the authentication, either. So let's deploy it. I'm going to try. Let's see how the internet behaves. If not, I have a video. Let's make sure that we are, yeah. So I'm going to run SWA. And what happens is that I already have a configuration cached. But what would have happened here is that the auto detection would tell me, oh, you have an Angular application, because it's scanning the package JSON, right? You have an Angular application or a Vue application or whatever you have, and these are this is the configuration I recommend to you. And then after it builds it, it tells me, okay,
Do you want to deploy your application to the cloud now? Let's do it. Yes. It's checking. Would you like to create a new project? Yes. OK. Cool app. It's creating it. It finds the configuration. It's in progress. This, again, may take a while. I may show the video now, because I tried. Typically, if you are in a fast internet connection, it's, I don't know, under 1 minute. But it may take longer here. So let's go here. This we saw already. Status is in progress. So this was this morning. And it took 63 seconds. And then when it's done, it tells me, OK, this is your project. It's deployed to this address in the cloud. And you can go and just see your built, deployed, and published project. And you can push the configuration, the CI/CD configuration, the GitHub Actions, to start collaborating with your team or on your own. Continue to push changes to this application. Let's see, it's still running. I don't know if I have still time. 4 minutes? 5 minutes? Project deployed. OK, we're done. We're there. So yeah, this is online already in Azure. And again, this required nothing but just one command, SWA, and then all the configuration is auto-detected. You can change it, obviously, if it's not what you want. But it will detect your framework. It will fill up your configuration. And it will start the deployment and provision process for you. So thank you very much. That's all I have to show you. No, it's not. It's not all I have to show you. I wanted to show you also, I wanted to request you something. Let me go back to the presentation. I want to thank my friend Wasim Shegam. I don't know if you know him. Of course, really good friend of mine. We were together on this CLI. He's actually the architect of this CLI. If you want to go and give it some love in GitHub, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed the conference. See you soon.